pleasure now of introducing our panel. I went through all of that to get us all on the same page about why we're here, but also to set you guys up to hear from an exemplar of what church school partnerships and nonprofits coming together in the community can look like to support one of our local schools. And so I'm so happy to introduce to you Larry Lawyer. He is going to lead our panel discussion from today. He is from St. John the Divine and leads the partnering efforts that support Lamar High School, which is right in the heart of Houston ISD. Joining him is Ms. Rita Graves. She is the principal of Lamar High School. Charles Rotramel of Houston Revision. Michelle Shonbeck, she is the executive director of the Christian Community Service Center, and Pastor Don Tuttle, he is the pastor of Bethany Christian Church. So let's give them a round of applause and welcome our panel.
Brittany, thank you so much. And Marilyn, it's great to see you. We appreciate everything you guys are doing. We're going to try to be efficient with everyone's time and very much appreciate the opportunity to really get to know more of you and all the great work that's going on in Greater Houston with regard to church-school partnerships. We are coming to you from what is termed collective impact and a desire to live out the great commandment of love God and love others. And we are a church, St. John the Divine, with our fellow Christian brothers at Bethany Christian and St. Luke's, who geographically surround Lamar High School or close to it. And the goal has been really to reach out to our friends at students, administrators, and teachers at this school. Hopefully you can see this. It's going to give you a little bit of an update overview of the school and the program. I know the Loving Lamar initiative, there's not didn't come from Loving Houston, although I wish it did. I was introduced to Maryland through another friend of ours at St. John's last April, May, and it's just been a great relationship since then where we've learned and continue to learn from them, so thank you. So if you know the inner loop area, you're talking about Westheimer. For those that haven't had a chance to be close by, Westheimer is one of the large roads there within Houston, and across you've got Lamar High School on one side, you've got St. John the Divide on the other, you've got Bethany Christian, which is on one side, and over about a block away is St. Luke's. We have been working with Principal Graves and coordinating with wraparound specialists and community and school contacts at Lamar for the past 18 months. We've been blessed to get to know the school leaders and what this group would call the culture leaders. And we've been able to really go in and listen. I think that was the first and foremost thing that I was drawn to, and that's just go introduce ourselves to the principal and ask, what can we be doing to be helpful? And from that, we were able to coordinate, you heard a couple of things already that Brittany mentioned, but clothing drives and emergency services. We've been coordinating with one of the ministries at St. Luke's at Nick Finnegan Counseling Center, where we've taken licensed professional counselors and done a series of parent talks based on topics that the school suggested would be helpful to them. I just thought I'd list a couple of things and then introduce people you probably want to hear more from anyway. They're actually doing all the work. But these are some things that Brittany asked me to just talk a little bit about, a holistic program. Prayer walks, volunteer coordination for students and chaperones, notes of encouragement and flowers to the administrators and the teachers, help with the job fairs, COVID shots, adopt a teacher program, mentors, tutors. We're going to talk a little bit more because we've got some folks from Houston Revision. If you don't know them, we're going to give you some information there shortly. Great program here. And Charles Rotramel, as you heard, is the executive director. Just a quick aside. Carrie Leader is actually the chief operating officer. She's also a ordained minister at St. Luke's. Charles had a conflict, and Carrie is here with us, and we're very grateful for that. And then we've been working with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Young Life, providing some speakers and some opportunity to coordinate with those groups. So I'm going to pause on that, but with one last comment, and that is you heard the concepts that Loving Houston does so well and really have vision around, which is relief, reconciliation, and development. St. John the Divine and the churches in general have been focused of late on trying to think through the primary determinants of health. And for us, it's a bucket of three, kind of go back to that biblical example, but it's education, employment, and housing, and how those might work. So again, what we did as a group is we went over, we listened, we tried to develop and continue to try to develop relationships for a long-term and lasting perspective. And then from there, figure out what we're already doing, what we might be able to do, and then what are stretch areas, things that, given some time and other efforts, that we might be able to work with the school to be helpful. So with that, I'm going to pass it off, if I could, to Principal Graves and let you hear directly from, what's going on and what's important to the school, especially as it relates to a school-church partnership.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate having an opportunity to talk with you all and tell you a little bit about some of the work that schools are doing and need some support with. So I will tell you that we have felt like this community has really wrapped their arms around us. And that's something our kids have noticed as well, which is a very valuable thing. In Houston, we are a district of choice. And that means that many kids come from other parts of the city to attend Lamar High School. And there are incredible opportunities here at Lamar. And I'm grateful that we get to open those opportunities up to kids from around the city. It creates a diverse student body and gives our students an opportunity to learn from each other about the vast differences in community supports and just the incredible differences between one family and another. And so it's an incredible opportunity for us. When Larry first reached out to me, one of the things we were struggling with significantly was the disparity between opportunities for our kids. And here's what I mean. As our kids move into their senior year, they are looking for opportunities for internships and practicums that support either our business magnet program or our vet med program or our engineering program or our computer science program or culinary arts. And there was a very distinct difference between kids and families who are well connected and from communities that are well resourced, and those that are coming from underserved communities where their parents may have fewer contacts. And that experience in a business setting is invaluable to kids as they start thinking about moving into college, particularly if they are first generation college students. If they are trying to move into a career field or find work to help them pay for college, and opening those doors in a community like this really has the potential to change lives. It has the potential to break cycles of poverty. It has the potential to elevate families. And as Larry came in to first talk with me, I said, I'm so glad you're here. And it was a prayer answered because I was like, I know how you can help. But Larry had much bigger ideas. You'll see he has listed the different career programs and then academic programs that we offer here on campus. And so we started with, help us with this job fair. Find us members of your community that are willing to open up paid and unpaid, although we prefer paid internships for our kids. They need the experience. And so we started there. He said, I want to be connected with the other people in your school that run different things. Okay. So I got him in touch with our athletic coordinator. That opened the door for them to help with FCA and with Young Life. He started meeting with our wraparound specialists and our PTO to put together a needs closet. So when we have kids that come to school who the sole of their shoe blew out on the way to school, we can put another pair of shoes on them for the day and know that they have those shoes every day until they blow out those soles. So we were able to start cobbling together the different kinds of support that would help the students in this community feel like they're not alone, that there is a network of people around that care about their success. There are signs hung on two sides of our school that say, "We're praying for you, Lamar. We prayed for you today." And the kids have come and said, "Miss Graves, did you see those signs? They prayed for us." And I said, "Yes, they're praying for us." They tell me all the time, they're praying for us. They want to see you be successful. And for kids that don't have the connection to a greater community, this is a remarkable opportunity for them to feel connected. Our teachers just feel so loved and so supported. I think today you all have delivered poinsettias for our faculty and staff, just so they know there are people out there pulling for them. And there are days, as we've returned to school since COVID, there are a lot of days that are much harder than days we've had before. This sense of hopelessness, this sense of not having control over their daily lives or the daily lives of their families, the incredible increase in things like family violence, mental illness, the development of social skills among kids took a break. And so our hormones and our cognitive development continued to grow, but our social and emotional, our EQ, took a break in development. And those are all things that have made supporting students even more difficult. And so we know we have a lot to put in buckets right now to get them where they need to be. And just knowing that we have these incredible resources through our Loving Lamar community certainly is just a gift from God. I will tell you, it certainly is. And I would love for the different programs to talk about some of the work they're doing here, if you'd like that, Larry.
No, thank you very much, Principal Graves. We don't have enough time to do this justice, and you're hearing directly from someone that's, as we all know, that's dealing with things, and we can't have enough principals and people like Principal Graves. I can tell you firsthand how much the students respond to her, and I'm very appreciative of the relationship. To know, it gives me hope, frankly, to know that our next generation are being well educated and well loved. So thank you for that. So what you saw were some facts about Lamar High School. You've got an enormous, 6A school that actually draws from the largest geographic area of the 260 schools in HISD. So you've got this business magnet, incredible school with an IB program, and then you've got people, as she mentioned, a diverse group of students from all over. And so trying to love everyone and get them to graduate and offer opportunities, as you heard, that's where a lot of our heart has been, is to try to listen to where we might be able to be part of that. And as you heard, we've got some folks here that are just experts in what they do. We've got the lead pastor from one of our partner churches, Pastor Don Tuttle. Would love to hear his thoughts on, collective impact, because he's just has so many good things to say. And then we've got CCSC, the executive director, Michelle Shonbeck, who, if you don't know, they offer just so many wonderful things to our community. They've got 2 food pantries. They've got job services for adults. They have ongoing opportunities for emergency services to help the Houston community. That's been great for us because as we've received opportunities to serve some families that lost jobs, for example, and were unable to meet electric or rent bills, we're not really prepared to understand how to make that actually work, other than, we need some help vetting and actually dealing with the particulars on that, which you probably know way more about it than I do. I've learned CCSC knows exactly what to do. That's their everyday. And so very much a big blessing. So again, in this spirit of collective impact, partnering, know what you don't do well. It's certainly ridiculous to think we could do it, but absolutely try to listen and figure out how we might be able to just bring people together. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Pastor Don Tuttle.
Thank you, Larry. One of the things about the Loving Lamar initiative that we've really appreciated, we are the smallest of the three churches that are involved. And by that, I mean, we are minuscule compared to St. Luke's and St. John. We don't have a lot of the financial and human resources that they do. But this has given us opportunities to engage in ministry to Lamar in a way that we have long desired to do, but simply we're not able to find the way in which to do it. And when Larry approached one of our members, Steve McCampbell, and myself about doing this, here was an opportunity to engage in ways that we hadn't imagined. And a lot of that has been the relief kind of things. We've tried to help where we can in that regard. A lot of it has been prayer support, providing ways in which our people can lift up the staff and the students there at Lamar. And for me, that's so important because small churches have low esteem issues. And it's sometimes very difficult to imagine doing anything that really makes a significant difference. And this has given us an opportunity to do that. And I appreciate Larry tremendously for helping out. And Rita has been marvelous in encouraging. Haven't been able, because of COVID, to do some of the things that historically we've done. For many years, we had a dinner on the night of the student-teacher meeting event. And the teachers could come over to Bethany, sit down, have dinner, rather than trying to have to go home or go find someplace. It was a simple thing that we could do. And we're looking forward maybe to next fall being able to do that again. But again, this is a way in which we can work together and fulfill our commission to be partners with other churches. We may not share exact theology together, but we do share a common heart for Lamar and for sharing the gospel. And that's really what this allows us to participate in.
Well, and I would
Pastor
like
Don.
to add, Pastor Tuttle, that you were with me on one of our darkest days when we lost a student. And that was will always hold a very special place in my heart. So I thank you.
Pastor Don is being very gracious as always. Every time I've been able to reach out, he not only says, yes, we'll be there and we'll support, but it's been above and beyond. Great ideas, great partner, and beyond a prayer warrior, clothing drives, helping out, as you mentioned and heard, science to support the students. Anyway, the list goes on and on, but I'm very appreciative of having the opportunity to get to know our neighbor and just serve together. So thank you for all of that. If I might be able to ask Ms. Shonbeck to give an overview of CCSC for those that may not know, but also just how some of the things, examples of how we've been able to work together. You guys just been so amazing, and we're so appreciative of that.
Thank you for that, Larry. Christian Community Service Center is a 41, almost 42-year-old ministry. We were founded by 6 churches that had this crazy vision that Baptists and Catholics and Presbyterians and Episcopalians might ought to be able to work together to alleviate poverty. And of those 6 churches, 3 of them are the churches that are working with you. St. Luke's Methodist, Bethany Christian, St. John the Divine. So these are 3 churches that have a history of leadership in our community. Today, we're a coalition of 39 Christian churches that wouldn't agree on anything theologically, but come together to provide for acts of mercy for people in our community. And when I think about CCSC, I think about three big buckets as far as our mission goes. One bucket is targeted children's needs. We have a Christmas program, a back to school program, and a vision care. Employment, 3 programs that meet very targeted needs to help folks either find work, increase their income, increase their household security. We have a financial coach on staff. And then the third area is the area that we've been working through St. John with Lamar, and that's basic needs. We run 2 high-functioning food pantries. And by high-functioning, what I mean is it's not just a food pantry. We're able to help families to prevent eviction, to help with rent or utilities, and just a variety of other things. And one of the things we know is that people who are coming to us really never walk in with one need. There's usually multiple needs, which is why our programs have grown. And we have collaborative relationships with many other nonprofits. Revision is on this, and I have a great fondness and respect for Revision for all the powerful work that they do. And Houston is blessed with lots of good organizations. So when Larry reached out to us, it was, I think, in the early days of the pandemic, and he had started to cast this vision with St. John. And where we work with the school is in paying for rent or utilities for families who've undergone a short-term crisis. And over the years, we certainly have had Lamar families walk through our doors, but what this has done has strengthened the partnership. Our program staff who are on the front lines, who are meeting with families, now have a relationship with staff members at Lamar High School. And so it has amplified our ability to help families and accelerated it. And so, sometimes ministry is about relationship. That's can be the foundation for all of us working together. And so that's been one of the really great things for CCSC. And that is indeed how we have jumped in and gratefully been able to help. Our other programs, I imagine that some of the kids we're helping with our Christmas program this week and probably our back to school program have been Lamar students. But by and large, it has been through the basic needs programs. And our facility is right in the neighborhood. I could walk to Lamar, I could walk to Bethany Christian, I could walk to any of these churches. So we're right in the neighborhood for the school and the families. So that's really essentially what we've done. And I just want to give a shout out again to the 3 churches, because I've been with CCSC a long time. And these churches and the other churches that are part of our coalition, we want a way to make an impact, and it sometimes just takes leadership to bring different folks together. And Larry has been that person to make such a great impact.
Well, it's very kind of you, but it's a village, as we all know, but it's also great leaders following, frankly, of examples of what Michelle and CCSC has and is doing. Thank you for that. There's an important program that I want to make sure we touch on. It's certainly not last but least, but it's heavy on the hearts of the 3 churches for sure. Principal Graves came to me in October of 2020 and said, hey, just so you know, as you're learning about us in the school, this COVID thing is real, of course, and it's affecting us a lot of different ways. And one of those is what I've learned, some definitions about highly at-risk students. And as I learned about this, what that led me to, through an introduction at St. Luke's on their youth group, to a nonprofit called Houston Revision, which was started back in 2011 by St. Martin's Episcopal and St. Luke's. Well, fast forward to today, just fell in love with this group and this program because they have a history of working with at-risk children, having partnerships with schools, embedding themselves with professional case managers on campus. And so what that led to is, okay, problem identified, or at least somewhat understood. What's the solution? And as I kept digging in and researching the problem, understanding just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I frankly felt overwhelmed, not being, I do this part-time for sure, like all of you as volunteers, I'm grateful for it, but it was overwhelming. Well, when you find experts like this, it was such a blessing. And today we have Carrie Leader. Well, what we did is in the church, we announced that, hey, by the way, we've identified that there's an opportunity for us to help. Some Lamar alums in their 80s reached out to me unsolicited and said, that's not okay, and you need to go change this. To which I laughed and said, I don't know what you're talking about. They sent some money in and said, this is a matching gift. You go fix this. Well, there was no program. There was nothing, anyway. So as we sit here today, I'm going to shoot up a slide just for your background, but I can't say enough good things about Houston Revision and the work that they're doing with students directly, because now we have a full-time case manager. We're talking about adding a second on campus whose sole job day to day is to work with the wraparound specialists, the community and school folks at Lamar, and it just continues to be a wonderful relationship where we're able to directly, hopefully, help kids every day. So I'm going to stop there and let the expert talk, but if I could introduce Carrie Leader and ask you to maybe just give a brief overview of Houston Revision and how the work we're doing at Lamar.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much, Larry. It's because of you that we are all doing such important work together at Lamar. And as Larry said, Houston Revision's been around for 10 years, and our focus has always been on the kids that have usually been the ones that are forgotten, the ones that are completely marginalized. We started with our partnership with the Juvenile Probation Department. They are still a cornerstone of our work, and they are ones who consider Houston Revision their main vendor, their main partner in this work. One of the things that we do a little bit differently than a lot of other nonprofits is, like I said, we work with the students that typically don't get worked with other programs. And we alongside those young people, and we provide them, as Larry said, with a case manager. We also give them the opportunity to have a caring adult mentor from one of our 39 or more partner churches. And those caring adults really just show up in their ministry of presence for that student. That student can divulge whatever that student needs to unload on a safe and caring adult. It transforms the adult in this work, and it transforms the student, and it transforms the community. And the other piece, of course, is some positive peer activity. So we're all about whatever the students are interested in doing for fun and recreation. We want to support that. Charles Rotrammel, our CEO, has been doing this work for over 30 years, and his initial nonprofit was big into the hip hop and the breakdancing movement. That's what the students were interested in back then, and that community still remains strong because, like I said, we are all about building relationships, and those don't have an expiration date. So a lot of the students that we've worked with over the years have been in the facilities, but happily in the past 10 years, we have seen a gigantic reduction in the students that are being incarcerated in our community, and now they're in the schools. And so that's where we want to be as well, because we always follow our students. And our students are happily now in their home schools, and they're really working hard to do what they can to turn their lives around and to become all of the things that God so longs for them to become. And that's really the core of our mission and our work. And it is a joy to watch those young people as they start to revision themselves and their futures. And I appreciate all of the opportunity to work with all of the students that we get to work with. I wish we could work with more. And as Larry said, that's always in need of more support. So we are working on doing that. We anticipated maybe having 10 referrals in this first semester at Lamar. And in the first, 6 weeks, we had 25. So there is a huge need there. Of course, they've got a large geography that they cover, and that encompasses a lot of our residential treatment facilities and other sorts of homes for students who don't have families. So those are the most at risk in our population, and we certainly want to support them, but we also support the young people that have been touched by the incarceration system. So thank you for allowing me to give you a brief overview. I could talk for days about what we do, just like all of you can, but thank you so much.
First of all, can we just give them all a round of applause, and for sure a salute to you, Larry, for bringing all these folks together and loving this school. And again, as I said before, we brought these folks in to be an encouragement to the other churches about what this can look like in practice. What we've been talking about all year long, what your district coordinators are saying in your emails, we want you to see how this is actually lived out in our city. And you guys are doing such an awesome job, and we just praise God for you. We thank you so much, and I hope this is an encouragement as you guys are in your churches and thinking about your church school partnerships for 2022, what it can look like, how it can be better, how you can continue to serve your communities. I hope you are mindful of this, and again, we are recording it, so feel free to share this with your pastor, to share this with your volunteer teams, so that they can all be encouraged, and you guys can kind of discuss how we can support. And before I move on, I do want to say, Pastor Tuttle, I am so glad that you are here, and I am so glad that you shared the perspective of a small church, because you're right, sometimes small churches feel like, well, we can't have a great impact, but what you're doing is so profound, and I just want to encourage you to keep doing it, and thank you for being here to be a voice of how smaller churches can contribute.